Driving business.
We'll be back from the break. Now, during the launch of the NRM Manifesto Week, it has been revealed that the party has so far accomplished 20 to 27% of its project implementation. According to reports, the National Resistance Movement projected a 77% accomplishment through the parish development model. Naomi Mutumba reports.
The National Resistance Movement government has been in power for over 3 decades, and their commitment to national development has been unwavering. In their 2021-2026 manifesto, the NRM pledged to continue their development agenda, building on the gains made in the previous years. Since the implementation of the National Development Plan 3, there has been significant improvements in various sectors of the economy. For instance, in the health sector, the government has invested heavily in infrastructure, equipment, and human resources, resulting in improved healthcare outcomes. However, there are still loopholes within the NDP3 that need to be resolved for the success of the manifesto.
For planning and transition accomplished, a certain percentage, that is about between 20 to 27% of the commitments, and 77% of the commitments are on track. To me, this is a very big achievement, given the fact that we have suffered a lot of setbacks because of COVID-19. I'm confident that the next assessment will indicate a higher rating.
We need also to harmonize our manifesto with what they have in their NDP3, because you see that some of the performance indicators which are there in NDP3 are not yet up to the average which we want. And this is where the manifesto, the 3 years or the 2 years which are remaining, we must make sure that we fulfill what NDP had planned. So I would propose that we may not be able to achieve that one in these 3 years or 2 years remaining, but the next manifesto program, that is 2026-2030 manifesto, all the NDP must make sure that all their set of programs and work plans must be achievable.
In the education sector, the government has increased access to education by building over 102 seed secondary schools, and in the agriculture sector, government has implemented policies that have increased productivity and profitability for farmers. For instance, provision of access to credit, extension services, and market linkages to farmers. As a result, agricultural productivity has increased by 4.3% per annum from 2.8%.
Creating job and wealth for all Ugandans. Delivering education, health, and water. Ensuring justice, equity, protecting life and property, and achieving economic and political integration.
Despite the achievements, there are still challenges that the government needs to address. For instance, the country still faces high levels of poverty, unemployment, and income inequality. Through the parish development model, government has pledged to address the challenges in its manifesto.
The parish development model, we were very keen this time around to ensure that there is total alignment between the NRM manifesto and the National Development Plan 3. So that means as we implement both, we are actually fulfilling our obligations. The Office of the President is committed to ensure that the parish development model as a vehicle for extending government services to the citizens to stimulate wealth creation, succeeds, and thrives. This model will specifically enable the data gathering and best enterprises
selection and development, cooperatives and financial services development, community mobilization, and mindset.
In implementing the manifesto, we have faced some challenges, including delays in acquisition of land for flagship projects across sectors and compensation. Government, however, is working on the acquisition of utility corridors as a means to address this challenge.
NRM government's commitment to national development has yielded significant results in key sectors of the economy. Government must continue to prioritize development and address the remaining challenges to ensure sustainable and inclusive growth for all Ugandans. Naomi Mtumba, SMART24 TV, Business Today.
And now let's talk matters road failures. Following the continuous outcry by the business community and residents in Kabale about the delayed completion of the USMID-supported roads, the contractor, Multiplex Constructions Company, has been given a 3-month ultimatum to complete respective roads project. Let's head to Kabale for this report.
Last Monday, we ran a story showing that due to delays in the road construction, government may be obliged to terminate and further impose a comprehensive ban on Multiplex Detached JV Construction Company. Today, it's been given 3 months ultimatum to have completed the roads project in Kabale Municipality. Kabale Municipality Mayor Emmanuel Biamgisha Sentaro accuses the contractor of extreme negligence as a project meant to be completed in 1 year has taken 3 years.
In today's monitoring and supervision, we found that we have one unserious contractor, a contractor who at times he's stuck, he does not know which other level he should go to. These works that you have seen on the ground, they have been there. In fact, the works have stalled as the kind of the status has been there for the last 3 months. So one, those are the findings, because from the consultant perspective view, he says he lacks resources, but we have the money, and this contract is at the measure. We pay you for the works that you have done. So if you have not done works, then we cannot pay you.
According to reports, the contract stipulates completion within 100 days. Stephen Ajaru, a World Bank urban development specialist, expressed disappointment at the project's lengthy completion. He issued a warning to the contractor, setting a deadline of August 3, 2023, underlining that failing to fulfill the deadline would result in the contractor being kicked off the job sites.
3rd August. So it doesn't matter now, whatever you do, you know that by 3rd August, you should have attained substantial completion. If not, then you have no business on the site. That is what you have signed to. It's not somebody fixing you. So that is, I think you need to understand what needs to be done now, between now and then.
The parish priest of St. Mary's Cathedral, Rusharosa, Reverend Father Christmas Austin, urged the contractor to take their work more serious in order to execute proper work.
We no longer want to hear those kinds of empty promises of giving deadlines, because it's like the public is being gulled and being taken for granted and being taken like fools. Yet we have people who, among here, we have elites, we have middle class, we have on the also different kinds and categories of people.
That stone quarrying and requiring a certificate from the National Environmental Management Authority is causing the delays. Multiplex Constructions Company was in 2021 awarded a 21.7 billion shillings contract to tarmac 3 roads covering 3.59 kilometers.
Well, back to the capital. The Kampala Capital City Authority has warned the technical team about misusing public funds worth 40 billion shillings, stating that it was handed to contractors to relocate residents with utilities in road services in the road reserve, which violates the Roads Act. The technical team was given 1 month to explain how the funds were used and which companies received the contract. Samuel Keremonda with more.
As a result of the city's poor road system, Kampala roadways are in dire state. The Kampala Capital City Authority has praised the technical wing to provide an explanation for the 40 billion shillings that they claim was wasted by contractors who relocated residents with their utilities on road reserves in violation of the law. Elias Lukwago, the Kampala Lord Mayor, claims that the value for money is non-existent and that government is merely wasting tax money. Additionally, he states that there was fraud committed during the awarding of these contracts, which explains the irregularities in delay of building road reserves.
The 40 billion for relocation of utilities, when it's supposed to be the obligation of those who own those particular utilities, who erected them within the road reserves, and also minor things like establishment of the bases, the camps for these contractors. They even went to the extent of making things which are ridiculous, things like health facilities, like distributing condoms at a very huge cost, that they are going to distribute condoms to the staff of the contractors and what, and the things which shouldn't even be in this contract, and a couple of other things. We have seen that we have come to a conclusion that unless we make serious intervention, this money is going to be put to waste. We shall not get value for money, and that's the reason we have taken a firm stance that we must bring them to account. We must bring them to book, the particular individuals who are involved, and we have given them a month to go and prepare their own defense. By 6th, they should be here.
Mr. Mosh Sendi, the chairman of the Budget Committee for Kampala Capital City Authority, admits that the committee tried to obtain these contracts for 4 months but was not able to do so. Mr. Sendi asked the IGG and Parliament to look into this issue so that contracts could possibly be cancelled because there was no value for money.
Whoever is handling KCCA roads, you're going to construct roads at the regional average cost, and we want those roads done in 10 months. Trust me, if we ordered for a lockdown for 2 years, then why not something like this, which benefits everyone? So I'm imploring everybody, if you work at KCC as a technical officer, I need you to first think about your country, think about your city, think about what you're going to tell your kids when you go back, that you're in charge of engineering in the city and the roads look this pathetic. Because I, as somebody elected, all I can do is talk, investigate and monitor, make a report, full stop. The action comes from the technical officers. What have you done for your city? What have you done for your country? IGG, this is the time you're supposed to step in, ask for questions and get answers. If there is any money misused, attach property of all those people stealing public money. And of course, when you're done with that, we need to see some people spend years in jail, and we need to see our roads constructed. As simple as that.
A portion of councils were dissatisfied with the way the technical team awarded contracts, despite the fact that they were unaware of the contractors they had chosen.
With the chairperson, our contracts committee that we've always requested to come, have disappointed us. They have presented as though they are not competent people. Imagine we have a chairperson contracts committee who does not know the person he awarded a contract to. He doesn't know the contract. He doesn't know the person he awarded it to. He doesn't know even the details of this contract. Now I question, really, I don't know, but I'm baffled by Museveni's regime, where he sends cadres who are very incompetent to lead our institution. Where are we heading? That is my submission. Probably, maybe I can add on that the roads are going to be ready, constructed, but we need this value for money. We need to know, why is it that in Kenya it is 2 billions, in Rwanda a due is 5 billions, but when it comes to Uganda it is 10 plus billions for a single, please mark that, and they're promising toilets, they're promising markets, they're promising too many things which we've not even ever seen on these other roads. So IGG, Parliament, please wake up.
The technical team for the Kampala Capital City Authority, led by the Deputy Executive Director's Office, was given 1 month to explain to the Council how contracts were granted and why they were in conflict with the Road Act. Samlanifa, Samuel Chirumunda, SMART24 TV, Business Today.
And now let's focus on climate and biodiversity conservation. Uganda, like many other countries, is experiencing adverse effects of climate change, with the vulnerable groups of society being affected. The Africa Tourism and Environment Initiatives in the partnerships with NEMA and the United Nations and the Ministry of Disaster Preparedness have drawn up strategies in biodiversity and cultural aspects to find lasting solutions for environmental conservation. We have details.
Like many countries across the globe, COVID-19 pandemic has not only slowed down but reversed progress in implementation of the 2023 Agenda of Sustainable Development Goal. According to the 2022 Sustainable Development Report, Uganda is still experiencing major challenges on majority of sustainable development goals, and it's ranked 136 out of the 163 countries.
Uganda is 50% on progress towards achieving the 2030 agenda. And we hope that with our renewed commitment every year through the conference and the actions being taken by the MDLs, private sector, civil society organizations, individual persons, we shall continuously accelerate the 2030 agenda and make sure that we have made great progress by the year 2030.
Government is implementing a number of initiatives, including policies to improve the status. Among these initiatives is the annual National SDG Conference. Regional SDG festivals will be held in Barara, Lira, Jinja, and Muvende with the coordination of the SDG Secretariat and SDG champions.
We are proud of our city's involvement in these festivals and urge all citizens to play an active role in shaping the future of our communities. Our city has always been at the forefront of sustainable development initiatives, and it is important that we continue this tradition.
According to Onesmus Kansime, one of the objectives of these festivals is to create platforms for dialogue among various stakeholders around actions to accelerate recovery from COVID-19 and full implementation of SDGs in Uganda, among others.
It's going to be an event that involves all stakeholders, ministries, departments, agencies, the UN, civil society organization, private sector, young people, women, people living with disabilities. And these will be drawn from all parts of the country and from all walks of life.
Uganda's acceleration of the Sustainable Development Goals stands as a testament to the nation's commitment to creating a sustainable and prosperous future. A series of activities have been planned as part of the regional festivals. Bronia Katsime, Kate Namgera, SMART24 TV, Business Today.
Meanwhile, apologies for that report that was relating to the government making every effort to fulfill its duty to accomplish all the sustainable development goals, as the Office of the Prime Minister has so far confirmed that Uganda will definitely be in the same space to try and implement the SDG 2023. Now, besides that, lastly, we take a look at the climate and biodiversity conservation. As we initially had, as Uganda, like many other countries, is experiencing the adverse effects of climate change, with the vulnerable groups of society being affected. Now, the Africa Tourism and Environment Initiatives, in partnership with NEMA, the United Nations, and the Ministry of Disaster and Preparedness, have drawn up strategies in biodiversity and cultural aspects to find lasting solutions for environmental conservation.
Climate change is affecting societies by intensifying poverty, increasing food insecurity, and triggering conflicts over resources. Extreme weather events like floods, drought, and landslides have destroyed homes, crops, infrastructure, with the most recent being the Masaka-Mbara Road, in turn hiking transport costs and the expected price increases of agricultural produce that comes from the west. NEMA has therefore expressed the need to change the strategy from tree planting to tree growing to suit the changing demographics of Uganda.
The challenge of environment management keeps taking different dimensions as the population of the world increases. When Uganda's population was maybe 3 million or 5 million, you cannot compare it to the challenges that we face today with a population of almost maybe 40, 45 million. And yet the country, the space has remained the same. In Uganda, government has gone ahead to put in place the necessary policies, the necessary laws, the institutional framework that should help us to manage the environment. The key question then comes, how do we sustain environment management? Why is it becoming a challenge? I have to tell you that first and foremost, we need to change our attitude as individuals towards the environment, because degradation of the environment happens by an individual.
Ampere Bismarck, the ED of the Africa Tourism and Environment Initiatives, highlights the need for increased awareness to all sections of the population. He cites knowledge deficit as a key factor responsible for people's negligent behavior towards the environment.
Awareness is such an important aspect that we need to create, but you're right, awareness without action doesn't make sense. Yes, so as an initiative, Africa Tourism and Environment Initiatives, we have different initiatives, pt2 here, and our aspect is we want to stop planting trees and start growing trees. But you cannot grow trees without planting trees, right? So growing trees is in two aspects. You plant and take care of the tree, and that is the aspect of pt2. And we are promoting aspects of green jobs in this perspective, and this is our first version of creating awareness about climate change.
Our culture is also at risk of poor climate, as many cultural practices and beliefs are intimately tied to the natural world. Hence, a deterioration in climate harms the ecosystems and biodiversity. The disappearance of indigenous plants and animals has a direct impact on our medicines, food and culture heritage, as Ms. Barbara Babwetera, the ED of Cross Culture Foundation of Uganda, explains.
Oftentimes, when we talk about development and we talk about issues of contemporary challenges, there is a tendency to dismiss culture, or at best, if it is included, it's included as the devil that is causing most of the havoc. But I want to tell you and assure you that culture has a very big role to play. We have structures. When we talk about biodiversity management, it can't exist in the vacuum, but it is hinged somewhere. One of the challenges we have today is that there is less involvement of cultural leaders, yet they exist at the smallest unit of our families, of our communities. It's a great resource to tap into. A number of cultural leaders are still held in high esteem. Look at what happened during immunization time when the Kabaka of Buganda came out and said, I'm taking the shot. Immediately the numbers went up. So if cultural leaders are also assigned this role.
The Symposium on Climate Change and Biodiversity Conservation aligns well with the National Policy for Disaster Preparedness and Management Objective 6 to promote public-private partnerships, as the State Minister for Relief and Disaster Preparedness clearly highlights on how far the government is striving to bridge these gaps.
Like Parliament of Uganda came up with a committee. Previously it used to be a forum. It came up with a committee of climate change. This is a very strong effort for Parliament, so that we should be able to legislate issues on climate change in this country, and also policies that we have been putting up. Right now we have a lot of policies that are being implemented, but this one here has not been. There was a gap on climate change issues. So now Parliament is taking it up, government is taking it up at a higher level, and I think this missing link will be covered up together with government and also.
Very important to think in advance and not as an afterthought. So I think everybody, including the indigenous people, needs to be included in the fight. Especially not only indigenous people, a lot of women as well. They have taken care of Uganda's land for many, many years. They have more knowledge maybe than a scientist from wherever in the world. So the scientific evidence together with the indigenous knowledge needs to be combined to find the right solution for Uganda.
This awareness comes handy in time as the country prepares to celebrate the International Day of Museums on 18th May in Gulu, the International Biodiversity Day on May 22nd, and the World Environment Day on June 5th, 2023. Margaret Nachiganda, Business Today, SMART24 TV.
Well, thank you for joining us. But before we sign out, let's first have a recap of our top stories. Tonight, in Business Today, shooting at Parliament Avenue, moneylender killed in cold blood at Parliament Avenue as killer was frustrated with loan increment. Elsewhere, The Algeria-Uganda Energy Partnership kickstarts. Energy partnership between the two countries begins as the two energy ministries are ready to start working together. The Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development signs a production sharing agreement in the Turako block and an addendum to the production sharing agreement in the Kanywa-Tamba contract area. And well, the weekend is upon us and we want to wish you all the best till Monday. I'm Joran Paul Sonko with Winnie Winza Nakauchi on for the sign language interpretation. Sunday, you'll be joined with Pedison Mumbere at 8 p.m. to give you the business edition, a look back at the top stories of the week that have been making huge headlines in the world of business. From the entire production, newsroom, and the entire editorial team here at Plot 42 Nile Avenue, we want to wish you a blessed night and a good evening.